Alright. Just gotta send him the link. And do the intro once he gets on. I got Charles here. There he is. Alright, if you just want to press the video button, Connor, then we can get started with the intro.
Hey, there I am.
Hey, there you are.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Very bright. Very bright.
Yeah,
very close.
yeah. My camera is so bad. Excuse me. It's there's a crack on the camera screen, so it's a little bit blurry over here.
Not to worry.
Eh. So, how have you been?
All right. Pretty good. Pretty good. Got my dog here. Got myself some food. Just got out of work.
Same here. Got my ginger ale, so I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, all right. I'm just going to get the intro started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of All Things Media. I am Brendan Dwyer, and I am not a raccoon or Adam Warlock, but then again, didn't feel like Adam Warlock was Adam Warlock. And I am joined by Connor Morley, y'all.
Great to be here, everyone. Thank you.
Did you get the Mary Poppins reference right there?
Yes, I did.
There we go.
Oh,
I'm always thinking to myself, how do I do it? How do I do it? Like if we had been doing a discussion on, say, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I probably would have introduced myself as the brilliant fist-bumping Baron Brimo, and you as Captain America turned U.S. agent Connor Walker, because I know you were a huge fan of John Walker.
Yeah. Oh God, you know. All right. Yeah. Okay.
I'm just trying some funky intros, is all.
Yeah. You know what? It works. It works. I'm not gonna go and say you got to do better, Senator.
No. Yep. That is still fresh. That is still fresh.
Yeah, and it's been made fun of since.
So, to kick things off, I'm just kind of curious, how many times have you seen Guardians now?
Right now, twice.
Twice?
Yep, twice. Because
yeah.
I would have seen it 5 times by now, but I was not emotionally ready to watch it a second time until today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally, I have like my limiter rule. Like most films, I don't let myself go up to 3 to tie with like Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. But there have been a couple of exceptions, of course. Doctor Strange 2, because I had very high hopes for that.
Right, and it's by Sam Raimi. You can't go wrong with Sam Raimi.
Exactly, a superhero horror-themed film handled by Sam Raimi. There was a reason I was like to myself, "Oh, I'm definitely gonna want to see this 3 times."
Yeah, even though it's not the best multiverse movie I've ever seen, that title goes to Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I will say this: I think it really, I think what I liked about Doctor Strange 2 was that it really nailed the horror movie aspects that we've seen in Sam Raimi's Evil Dead trilogy and Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah. That's why I had asked you when we saw that in the theaters, are you an Evil Dead 2 fan? Because when you said I was
there
like,
were Evil Dead 2 references.
I was like, you're gonna get more a kick out of this than most folks.
Yeah, exactly. So again, not the best multiverse movie, but I still enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. There's a lot of people that feel like, oh, why is it called Multiverse of Madness? I'm like, because of the initials, MOM. It's more a Scarlet Witch movie than anything.
Yeah, you're right. It is more of a Scarlet Witch movie. I do appreciate the ambitiousness of turning Scarlet Witch into a villain, but But yeah, I can see why people detested it at first. It did feel rushed at times when she suddenly turned evil after WandaVision. Even though
In some ways, you can argue it feels rushed. In other ways, you can kind of argue by the context of it all, it kind of makes sense because she had gotten that taste of that absolute perfect life, and now she's like, I kind of want that back. And then the dark hold kind of, it's dangled in front of her. Like, she's not full on evil yet, but she has this power. There's this power right in front of her that gives her that option. So once she touches it, that's where she goes full blown like baddie.
Exactly. There are that's that's why I liked about. There are some things that there are actually a lot of things I liked about Doctor Strange too. It's not the best Marvel movie ever made. I'll say that it's not the best Marvel movie ever made, but it's the better one out of all the movies in Phase 4. Well, besides Spider-Man: No Way Home, of course. How could I forget that?
I would still argue the top of Phase 4, which I take it you still haven't seen, is Wakanda Forever. I feel like you see that
I still haven't, but I will see it sometime soon. But
yeah.
Right now, the best of Phase 4 are number 1, Spider-Man: No Way Home, and number 2, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And that's about it, sadly.
I definitely enjoyed, so Doctor Strange 2 and Shang-Chi, I think, would easily have both been like more top contenders if the whole, like what they've been saying lately, if they weren't directed by committee. If the directors had the full control, those both easily would have been like A-tier films. And I still put Shang-Chi in like a solid B. It's a very enjoyable solid B.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And regarding like directors' visions, like when it came to like Chloe Zhao directing the Eternals movie, sure that it's not the most exciting Marvel movie. It wasn't. There weren't enough high stakes, or should I say, high personal stakes, to be honest with you. But again, I appreciate that they let Chloe Zhao direct this movie and express her ambitiousness towards the Eternals.
It had good, strong ambitions. I would just say that project definitely should have been a show rather than a movie, because it's very hard in even 2.5 hours or even 3 to tell the stories of 10 characters with all this other stuff going on.
I agree. I think that would have worked a lot better as a miniseries on Disney+.
Or 10 episodes minimum, I would say it needed.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea, given the characters. And also, I think where Eternals fell apart was it was, I don't know. I think it didn't have much emotional stakes to it. You want to get invested in these characters.
For characters that you're just first meeting.
Like you said, we didn't get enough time to get invested in these characters.
Yeah, like one of the characters instantly dies, and we're like, well, I didn't get to know her enough to care yet.
Right, exactly. But again, the strongest aspect, I should say, is Chloe Zhao's style. Because her, if you've seen Nomadland,
I saw that. It was good. I enjoy like the cinematography aspects of it. I enjoy the mystical aspects of it. I think it was just too compact.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the downside. But on the plus side is that it's a Chloe Zhao film and not another soulless Marvel product made by a bunch of guys in suits.
Yes.
And that's the reason why I absolutely love Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I was just going to say, if you love Guardians 3, that's kind of the same effect that Black Panther 2 has. That is one of those samples of, okay, Ryan Coogler gave us an Oscar-winning film that was even up for Best Picture, and there's also the aspect of Chadwick being gone, so he was probably like, I'm doing this the way I want. Keep the committee's hands off this. And they were like, yeah, we're taking a few steps back.
And that's exactly what they did with James Gunn's movie. And you know what? When you watch this, you can tell it's a James Gunn movie. And
especially he finished the script 5 years ago, and there were only the tiniest little tweaks made. So it was before even this phase got started, so you could tell this was still in the glory days of Marvel.
Yeah, and you know, and if you ask me, this is the best we're ever going to get from Marvel.
Yeah, for a good long while, I'd say. I mean, there's still some projects I am excited for. I am excited for the Marvels because even though I didn't think that Miss Marvel was a top tier show. I think it would have been a much higher if they had split the two stories into two separate seasons.
Right.
But what's her name, who plays Kamala Khan, absolutely perfect in that role. She quite literally is Kamala Khan, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, but she is an absolute delight, and I feel like she's going to be the best part of that upcoming movie.
I've seen the trailer, and for what it looked like, it just didn't do it for me. It looked like a show that was made for kids. And so it wasn't I wasn't the target audience for that show. But
it definitely has.
I will say this: the actor playing Kamala Khan, I think she's very talented, and you know, so I guess.
And that's her first role ever.
I do think she has potential to keep on going as a movie star. Yeah,
that's her first role ever, and what I liked about that was, they didn't care that she had no experience. They didn't care that there was no hype around her. They were just like, you fit the role, so we're giving you this part.
Exactly.
Whereas, I don't know if you saw Mania, but I
saw clips of it. I saw what MODOK looked like, and I was like, no thanks.
Yeah, I don't know how they looked at that and thought, they will be fine. People will like that. But the biggest thing, and this is kind of the one thing that holds Guardians 3 back from being one of my most top-tier films, is kind of one of the bigger issues I also had with Mania, and that was a certain casting choice. So I don't know if you heard. We'll get into the discussion of Guardians in just a second, but when they announced Ant-Man 3, they kind of pulled a very dickish move when they blindsided the actress who was originally playing Cassie, Emma Furman, and they were like, oh, hey, and now here's Catherine Newton playing her because she just did some movie called Freaky, and that's about it. And there were people saying, oh, well, Emma Furman looked too old to be playing Cassie in Endgame, and I was like, she was 17 playing a 15-year-old. We've had a lot more wide gap aging role plays before.
Hey, in the Spider-Man trilogy, we had a bunch of guys in the late 20s playing high school teenagers.
And someone younger than them playing their teacher. I was literally going to say.
Right? It's more obvious when you watch it now.
Yeah, and Catherine Newton is 5 or 6 years older than Emma Furman, so that excuse goes right out the window. But when they announced her in that role, I instantly got Tori Cobra Kai vibes from her, where I felt like, okay, they're going to do that thing, aren't they, where they take the former sweet little girl and they give her that cliche teenage angsty character.
Honestly, that's becoming a cliche at this point.
It's a massive cliche. Like, for people who've seen Hawaii Five-0, they did that with Gracie. She was the sweet little Gracie, and then as soon as she's like around the age of 15, she's just on her phone like, everything's lame, I don't care, Dad, you're kind of boring me. Or there was another girl in Murder in the First. She went from the sweet, always loves getting a piggyback ride from her mom to shoplifting and then calling her mom the B word for holding her in jail.
Oh, God.
And my instant reaction when I even just saw the trailers for Mania was, oh no, we're about to get that with this Cassie, aren't we?
It's such a shame too, because you can write a teenager and still make them likable.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have to be these angsty, brooding little rebels.
And 10 minutes into the movie, I remember when I took my mother, 10 minutes in, she was leaning over to me going, I already can't stand her.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been telling me, that Cassie's actually one of the worst parts of Quantumania.
She is. And when I saw it in theaters opening night, there's a line she delivers that had my whole theater scoffing. So, Ant-Man, basically the person who helps. He's the one who came up with the idea to help save the entire universe. This isn't a big spoiler, but there's a scene where they're sitting down at dinner, and she has the audacity to say this line of all lines, like 3 times. What have you even done with your life?
Yeah.
So much. Yeah. When she said that, I'm just thinking to myself, like, you do not say that to Scott.
No. After what he did, after what he did in Endgame, like, come on, like, show some gratitude to that.
And it's like, you know what? Yeah, he could be doing more, but he's lost so many years with his daughter over so many instances. So he's even saying, "Oh yeah, the Avengers need me. I'll happily come back." But yeah, if he wants to sit down and enjoy some time with his daughter and take in this fame for a while, he has every right to do that.
Yeah, my God, like, it's as if the writers don't know how to write teenage characters.
Well, Kate, I mean, they nailed it with Kamala Khan, and they nailed it with Kate Bishop.
I'm talking about, like, the writers of Quantumania.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason I bring up Cassie, though, is because I absolutely love this movie. I love Guardians. Though there's only one gripe I have with it. Do you want to take a guess what that gripe is?
Don't tell me it's Adam Warlock.
So I read the comics. I've read the Warlock Chronicles. I was very excited for his character in this. Years back, they announced that they actually offered the role to Keanu Reeves, who a lot of people were fan casting in that role. And I thought, you know, for the guy who's in the comics helped beat Thanos, that works. That kind of, you can see him in this role. And I know he's not the deepest actor, but he could always surprise us. And Adam Warlock is a deeply complex, multi-layered character who kind of is similar to Moon Knight with, like, I'd have to reread it, but it very much feels like he's got almost like split characters in him. And when I found out who they casted and I saw the first trailer, I was like, that looks like someone just playing Adam Warlock for Halloween, not for an MCU movie.
I honestly beg to differ. Because watching Guardians 3, I loved Adam Warlock. Granted, I never read most of his comics, but there's something about this character that really intrigued me. He's like, you know, he's literally born yesterday, and he has he basically has the powers of Superman. Yeah,
and there is great potential with him. Did you watch the pitch meeting for this movie?
Oh, I did. Yeah, the one with the producer and the writer.
Ryan and George, yeah. That was the part where I felt like he nailed it on the head, where to me, it felt like they just completely forgot that he was supposed to be a part of this project. And they were like, okay, we'll just kind of have him come in and do stuff. He'll just kind of come in and do stuff. And then, like, sometimes he'll just show up on camera just to pass out. And then he kind of does something at the end, which, not to get too much into spoilery, but you notice there was something Star-Lord was missing throughout this whole movie, and it felt like they removed it so they could give Adam Warlock something to do.
Yeah. But I honestly didn't mind the insertion of I didn't mind them inserting Adam Warlock into the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And I didn't mind Star-Lord not wearing his mask for the whole thing. You know, I think that Chris Pratt, you know, is a very talented actor, and he plays Star-Lord really well. Like,
he does.
He expresses a lot of emotion in this movie, and so,
yeah, I think it's good to be able to see more of his facial emotion in this. It was just a little weird. That's like the one time you need your mask and you don't have it.
Yeah, well, I believe James Gunn said this in an interview that he forgot it at nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was too concerned about saving his friend Rocket.
I mean, that felt like it to me, but that's also what Adam kind of felt like. Did you ever see Dragon Ball Evolution?
Unfortunately.
The amount of research they did for that kind of felt like the amount of research for him in this, where it's like, okay, he's gold and he's very strong. I was like, there's a little more to his character than that. Some people compared it to the Taskmaster fiasco. Not as bad as that, but kind of similar, where he felt like a glorified henchman.
I was going to say, I understand where you're coming from, but I respectfully disagree. I didn't care
it definitely wasn't as bad as
Taskmaster, but I did care a lot about Adam Warlock. I thought he was a very fun character, and I like that he was kind of like Marvel's answer to Superman, almost.
Yeah, I feel like there was a point where he kind of got aimless. Like when something happens to someone he cares about, my instant reaction was going to be, oh, this is how they turn him, isn't it? Now he's going to go after the High Evolution. Nope, now he just keeps going after the Guardians. I was like, why?
Again, he was literally born yesterday. And with everything that was happening to him, it's like he didn't know where to. I saw the second time and I got the answer. I guess he just didn't know where to unleash his anger towards until the Guardians saved him.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's a small gripe. It's my one like big issue with the film. I also think maybe they could have incorporated it. It could have been cool to incorporate either him or the Ravengers to help deal with that army of aliens that were coming out to attack them in space. Like that could have been something for either of them to do.
Right. So to anyone who's watching this right now, I realize that we just headed to spoiler territory, so I deeply apologize for announcing some things that were considered spoiler heavy. So right now, we're going to be heading to spoiler territory.
Yes.
If that's okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, because this, I just wanted to get the gripes out of the way just so that the rest of this can be more positive. Because like you, I got this soundtrack because I enjoy reliving this movie.
Oh, me too. Absolutely. Like,
and
I bought the soundtrack. I bought like 3 Funko toys. One with Rocket Raccoon. One with Rocket. One with Groot, and one with Adam Warlock.
Yeah, this, I think, I get why a lot of people compare this to Endgame. This feels like a perfect swan song to this particular story.
And it is a perfect swan song. In fact, I put this over Endgame because it's less about saving the world again and more about the personal stakes that these characters go through, especially Rocket Raccoon, who I think has the saddest backstory in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, and you get that sense right from the get-go with him, between like the exposition dump at the beginning of Guardians 1 when they're all arrested, but even when he's drunk and just releasing all his feelings about himself, you're like, oh yeah, no, this is a very tragic character right here.
Oh, it is, but it's proven even more with this movie, and especially again, spoiler alert, everybody, that when they show him getting tortured in the project file that they collected, Nebula actually said, that was worse than what Thanos did to me, and I was like, oh my god.
I was surprised that she even said that, because I'm like, you literally had every single part of your body replaced, but at the same time, I'm thinking, yeah, okay, I can see this.
Yeah, when we keep going deeper into the flashbacks, we definitely see why she says that, because the High Evolutionary is pure evil. There has never been a Marvel movie villain until now to ever make me whisper, fuck you, to the big screen like that.
Designed that way. Like, James Gunn wasn't trying to create some sob story for him. He's trying to give his motivation, yes, but he is also saying, you're not meant to like this character. You are only meant to want to see this character get what's coming to him.
And that's what makes him such a great villain, is that he's so damn hateable. And
yes.
And the actor who played him, Chukwudi Iwuji, did a phenomenal job. Like, he took the character to a very Shakespearean level. Like the way he performed, the way he yells at other characters, like he really took the role seriously. And I hate to over exaggerate, but I hope he gets an Oscar nomination one day, especially for that role.
I don't know if he's going to get one, but I will say, I love that stuff with him when he's discussing opera. And then, as you said, he gets very shouty. Some people felt that as a gripe. To me, that felt like that's just how insecure he is. When he's shouting, it's showing how small he truly is, and he's trying to overexert. It's like that scene when his servant literally puts a stool right in front of him so that when he steps up, he can be taller than that golden lady so he can look down on her. I'm like, oh my God, this guy is just the biggest weasel.
Is like he has a god he has a god complex. He's like a mix of Light Yagami and Dr. Moreau, and a bit of Lucifer.
And that line he says near the end, it's funny you mentioned God complex, because there's that line he screams that finally gets his own people to turn on him when he's like, "There is no God, that's why I stepped in." And then they're like,
I love that line because it really elevates him as a villain. And when it shows that he's too powerful to be stopped by his employees.
Yeah, because all of a sudden now they're all like, no, that's enough of you. They're all just slowly, one at a time, being like, I'm done with you. You need to be stopped.
Yeah, like that was a brilliant scene. But my favorite scene, in fact, that I want to talk about, and again, spoilers for everybody who's watching this, is when Rocket is saving all the people, and then he finds the batch of animals, and he sees the raccoons, opens the gate, and discovers who he is, and then he rescues them. And I'm like, that scene, I'm gonna be honest, that really. Excuse me. It'd be a whole lot better if I had my own apartment.
No worries.
God damn it. Okay. Sorry about that, everybody. Okay. So yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, Rocket saving the raccoons. Yeah, I'll be honest. That was a scene that really brought a tear to my eye. That was something that I don't really get emotional often in movies. I didn't, sure, like Aunt May's death was sad. Same with Iron Man and Endgame, and I didn't even shed a tear over Les Miserables when I saw it in theaters. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, like all the scenes with Rocket, like it can turn the strongest stone cold man in the world into a sobbing mess. That's how sad it is.
Yeah, I mean, I did get to I bawled. I bawl every time I'm watching like Tony's death or the funeral and Endgame. I will say though, didn't shed a tear when Aunt May died, and it wasn't because I didn't care. It was just like there's a part of me like, I don't know, it just didn't play in a way that made me feel a lot during that. But yeah, I was feeling things too with Rocket because they played it nice and slowly. You didn't even want to like say, Rocket, hurry up before he shows up. You're just like watching him save these critters these creatures who he wished that could have been done for him a lot sooner.
It was such a beautiful moment, and with Iron Man, I honestly, yes, I was a little sad about Iron Man dying in Endgame, but the reason I didn't tear up that much was because it was more of a heroic death, and it was something that he did to save the world. So
it was very narratively correct.
Right, narratively, you're absolutely right. So, like, I was sad, but
you wouldn't change a thing.
Right, it didn't really affect me deeply because I know what he did was the right thing.
Yeah.
and even if it hurts.
It just occurred to me. I think, and I won't go too deep into it. The reason I didn't feel as much with Aunt May's death is because whenever I think of that movie, I think of there was a different movie we were supposed to get where this could have played a lot better, because that was originally supposed to be a Craven Hunt Spider-Man, and you get kind of his actual origins through flashback in that story. And I thought, oh, we could have had flashbacks of Uncle Ben, how he died, and then that kind of plays in parallel with Aunt May's death. So that didn't play out the best it could have, but with Guardians, this was something James Gunn had figured out for years. He knew exactly the way he wanted to go with this, and he knows how to draw that emotion out of those broken characters. So he always plays that right.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, back at Rocket scenes, like, you know, we were introduced to these creatures, his friends, Lila,
Teefs and Floor.
Flashback. Yeah. And, you know, we immediately got introduced to these characters and, you know, and how important they were to Rocky Raccoon. So, hello? Okay, good, there you are.
Yeah.
I thought I lost contact with you. But, yeah, so the scene where, so because thanks to those flashbacks, we got a lot of time getting along with them. We understood how important they were to Rocket. So the minute he broke out Lila from her cage, and you're thinking, oh, they're going to reunite. This is going to be great. And then you hear the gunshot go off. Mm-hmm. And I audibly gasped when I heard that. And then when it revealed that the High Evolutionary shot her, I was like, this was the moment where I said, fuck you.
I was pretty sure they weren't going to make it out of there. Like, obviously, you know, Rocket does, but there was that part of me that's like, I feel like now I understand. And this is the great thing about this movie. It enhances, if you look back at every single other Guardians movie and any other movie or project they were in, it brings to like all that context where you're like, oh, that's why this and this. Like, now you understand, like, Rocket's, like, in Guardians 2, when he's, like, being such a jerk to everyone and trying to drive them away, you're like, he's trying to push them away because he's fear of losing more people. And this is why he can't handle losing so many people again, because this happened to him before.
Yeah. But yeah. Sorry, I just lost track for a second here. Yeah. Sorry for making this awkward.
No worries. So I gotta ask, did you find that this movie? How did you feel about Guardians 2? I know there's a lot of people that have it very low. I felt like this movie enhanced it for me just a little bit.
You know what, and you're right. It does enhance it a bit. When I first saw Guardians Volume 2, I loved it. In fact, I think it did some scenes that were better than what they did in Volume 1. Even though some might disagree, but I think the weakest aspect in Guardians 1 was the villain. I think Ronan the Accuser was too weak, and knowing that there was even a bigger threat above him really undermined Ronan's intimacy.
I mean, that's the thing I think that kind of creates that connective tissue, but also I think was the only thing that was interesting about him was, oh, he's Thanos' soldier. But yeah, to me, whenever he was going off and on, I would just be like, okay, can you just stop already and just move on with this?
Exactly. He wasn't a great villain. But when we were introduced to Ego in Volume 2, thanks to Kurt Russell's charisma and his motivation, like, it really showed how evil that character was. And then when we were introduced to the High Evolutionary, we were shown how truly evil he was. Yeah.
I think of the three, the High Evolutionary is definitely the strongest villain.
Oh, by far. To me, I think, I might over-exaggerate again, but he is the best villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I definitely like the fact, like, as we were discussing before, you're only meant to hate him because there's so many villains where people will be like, well, there's this and this about them, and they're kind of overreading it a little. If they're going to make a sympathetic villain, I like when they do that just right, like Killmonger or Zemo, where you're like, you know what? There's some truth to what they speak, and you can kind of understand how they got to here.
Especially Killmonger.
But, yes.
I even say Thanos is somewhat sympathetic to a certain degree.
For me, it was always a matter of, it feels like you can't be saying that this is just for your cause when you're killing this many people. Eventually, it's like, you can't tell me you're not enjoying that. Because there's some planets that already took a decimate hit, and then he attacks again. Like, with Thor's people, it's like, hell, he just wiped out half of them. I don't think you needed to do that.
You got a point there. But I think Thanos is a very complex character. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Hela was a fun villain.
I enjoyed Hela.
Yeah,
I enjoyed Hela.
And I think that's all thanks to Cate Blanchett as an actor. Like, she's whatever performance she gives, she'll knock it out of the park.
And it's not only that, she's also kind of giving context to Thor's father, Odin, of like, yeah, he wasn't always such a good guy, and there was a lot of shady stuff he was involved with, and she kind of brings that all to light.
Yeah, she did.
Now, Gore was someone who I was like, okay, this could be a top 5 villain right here. His motivation's not hard to get behind. It's not a hard sell. And then it was just undercut by a clown of a movie.
You know what? Thor: Love and Thunder could have been a really, really good Thor movie.
It could have. It's not a hard, when you have that concept with Thor's journey and this villain's like, that should be an easy A to S tier.
It would have been an epic, emotional thriller, but instead it undermined itself with so much humor. Like, it did not need to be there.
And it felt like Taika was crapping on the material itself as well. Like, that. So some people might just think it's a light joke, but that whole Infinity Cones business, I'm like,
dude,
that is really in poor taste. That's in the context of the MCU, not in real life, but in the context of the MCU, that's like the equivalent of a Hitler burger. And he's kind of making that as a joke.
Yeah, I felt like, I don't know, I really don't know who to put the finger on. Like,
I feel like Taika is the one to put the finger on for that, because that was the one gripe people had with Thor Ragnarok, was it was a little bit in that movie, but he would always undercut tension with jokes. And here it was like they let him loose.
Oh, like when they destroyed Asgard. Like when Asgard got destroyed in the third movie, it was turned to a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my only problem with Thor Ragnarok. The rest of the movie was great, but when they turned the destruction of Asgard to a joke, I'm like, why?
Yeah, and
because that was their
with Guardians. Guardians definitely has its humor, but because it's very dark humor, it can get away with that cross of having these dark and emotional moments and then also throwing humor in because it's dark type of humor. That's what James Gunn's specialty is.
It's so odd because, Taika has that sense of humor too. Like, he can really, like, Taika Waititi can definitely balance, like, happy and sad moments. Like, if you've seen Jojo Rabbit, like, that's a perfect example right there. So with Thor: Love and Thunder, I thought we would get something a little bit like that, but we didn't.
That movie, I think, should have been handled by Zack Snyder.
Thor: Love and Thunder?
Yeah.
I could see it being a Zack Snyder movie. There were some shots that were like, is this 300?
Especially when you got a villain like Gore and you're dealing with gods. Like that's something his specialty with, like the Superman project and everything else he did.
Yeah, exactly. I know like Snyder has his haters who don't want him to direct another comic book movie, but you know what? He's Zack Snyder is still a very talented director, a very good visual director, and I think he can definitely work on something with a Thor movie. Or my best bet, I think my choice for a Thor movie would be Robert Eggers. If you've seen The Northman, you know what I'm talking about.
I have not.
That's one I definitely recommend watching.
All right. Now, I want to kind of tackle Guardians by its three acts, kind of go in order, because there's more than just Rocket to talk about. Like, this was a movie that kind of full circled a lot of the Guardians.
Oh, absolutely. Let's start with Peter Quill and Gamora, right? Like, I love how they handled Gamora in this movie. I like that so we're going to get into spoilers. So, so what I liked about it was that Gamora has no romantic interest in Peter Quill, even though Peter Quill wants her back.
Which makes sense.
Exactly, it makes sense. Like, he's still not emotionally recovering from the loss of the previous Gamora in Avengers: Infinity War.
Yeah, and I'm glad they took this approach rather than, as they said in the pitch meeting version, they didn't go kissy kissy. They actually went with the mature route.
Exactly, it was such a perfect, and it was wrapped up nicely. We see Gamora completely frustrated with Quill, trying to convince him that she's not the Gamora that he's in love with. And then by the end of it, Peter eventually accepts that, and the two move on. And there's like a perfect quote that these two share is when Gamora says, "I bet we've had fun," and he was like you wouldn't believe. And then they leave. I thought that was beautiful. That was very touching and a bit sad. But it ended their story nicely. But and what I liked, and now let's focus on Quill now. What I liked about Quill's arc here was there's like this little arc about him and his grandfather that goes all the way back to the first movie.
It kind of ties to what Mantis said with life's a pond, you've been leaping from one woman to another like they're lily pads. You need to learn to swim.
And that's what Peter did. He learned to swim.
Yeah, because he had been running his whole life and always avoiding home. And it's like, the Guardians were a family, but as most families are, eventually they help each other grow so they can go on their own.
Exactly.
And they were very much, many people have mentioned this, been acting like bandages for each other. And the best way for them to heal was to kind of tear those off.
The Band-Aid off.
Right.
Yeah.
They needed to become what they were meant to be.
Yeah, and so that ending scene where he finally goes back home and he sees his grandfather for the first in a very long time. Like that, to me, that was the perfect way to end his story with the Guardians. Yeah,
and he's still getting more story. This is just to kind of tie off that end of it.
Exactly. And because I know we're going to see Peter Quill again. I have a feeling that he's going to be a main character in the new Avengers movies that are coming out. That is, if we get them. Because recently they fired one of their writers for Avengers Dynasty.
The guy, I think, who handled the Ant-Man the writing.
Yeah, that was probably a good thing. From the sound of it.
I mean, it's always hard because you wonder how much of that was on him and how much of that was the committee just kind of controlled him and then created something worse.
Yeah, well, given the writer's strike going on and Jonathan Majors facing some serious legal troubles at the moment, I think the best way for Kevin Feige to do right now is course correct everything after Guardians 3, because and we should learn from that the success of that movie. I would suggest allowing directors and writers the creative freedom with these Marvel characters but still,
especially if they've earned that trust.
and exactly, it's all about earning that trust. So, like, they trusted James Gunn, they trusted the Russo brothers, and they kind of trusted Taika Waititi until Thor: Love and Thunder.
He took advantage of that trust and kind of went over the ham with it.
Exactly. So yeah, whatever they hire, just allow them to create a freedom to work and work on these characters that eventually sets up a new Avengers movie, one that is hopefully just as good as at least the first movie.
Now, it's funny you mentioned Majors because so I wanted to tackle this in story order, but I want to kind of jump to that second post-credit scene for a second. Did it feel to you like there was more to that scene originally and then they had to cut some stuff out of it?
What, the breakfast scene?
Yes.
No. I thought it was just a fun little post-credit scene, kind of like the shawarma scene in The Avengers.
Yeah. It like I get it's also leading to say, oh yeah, Star-Lord will return, but there was I don't know if this is true, but there was an interesting theory floating around. They were talking about the wife's son and how he might be mowing the lawn, and now the new wife is black, and someone was floating around the theory, what if her son was a Kang variant?
That would be interesting. But,
and then they had to cut that because of the stuff with Majors.
That's an interesting theory, but I don't think that's true. But who knows? But my suggestion for this Jonathan Majors controversy is, I would say I would not recast Kang. I would say hold off Kang for the moment because it's still innocent until proven guilty. But my choice is just hold off Kang for a while and make someone else the new big bad for the Avengers to face off. And my choice is the High Evolutionary.
So I was shocked because originally everyone thought, okay, the Guardians aren't killing him themselves, but they're also just going to leave him in the ship to die with his own destruction. Until I found out James Gunn said, oh no, off camera, he got taken in and now he's in a jail in nowhere. I was like,
well, that was a deleted scene. They filmed it, but they deleted it due to pacing.
I kind of liked the idea more of him dying on his own ship through his own destruction.
I guess it was a wise choice for them to cut that out, right?
Only just because I was like, you're meant to hate this guy. You don't want to see him survive this unless they're using him unless they're letting animals use him as a chew toy, literally.
That would be funny.
That's what I kind of would want to see. Like, they're training Cosmo and some other dogs to be defenders and attack dogs, and he's literally their dummy to work on.
You get what you deserve, right?
I mean, I've seen other shows where you see something bad happen to an animal, and then you always love seeing the animal get to be the one to take down the baddie who hurt them.
Exactly. All right.
So first, going off this, with the beginning, how do you feel the opening sequence worked? Like, with the Guardians, like where they were on Nowhere before all the action ensues.
I loved it. Like, I loved how it was almost like this one complete tracking shot. Like, because camera movements were so smooth, we could see what the Guardians of the Galaxy are doing. They're either putting up a sign, or they're dancing on the streets of Nowhere, or you just have Drax doing absolutely nothing because he thinks dancing's for idiots.
I like how that came full circle too. Like,
Me too.
Because it's like Nebula said, you weren't meant to be a destroyer. You were meant to be a dad. He even said in earlier films, "Oh no, I loved my wife because she would just stand still when music's playing." But then you see how good he is with these little kids.
I know.
He's lifting their spirit. And then when everyone else is dancing, what do parents do? They make fools of themselves to put a smile on their kids' faces.
Exactly.
And that's what he did.
He's such a good dad. And we see that.
Yeah. They tied up his story perfectly. They gave Nebula what I felt was, I don't know if James Gunn originally knew they were going to kill off the original Gamora, because I always thought, what was his plan for her if they hadn't killed her off? Because how was that going to go with Peter's story?
I read this article once. I think it was on, I don't know, it was on either on YouTube or Instagram, but there was it stated that James Gunn originally planned for Gamora to die in Guardians Volume 2, but the Russo brothers, he had a meeting with the Russo brothers, and the Russos wanted Gamora to die in Avengers Infinity War, to which he agreed. And
okay, so that was
he kind of made a joke about that in Volume 3.
Oh, when they're doing the whole like quick summation of everything that happened before thing on the elevator.
And fun fact, in that scene, the red-skinned alien girl Uda is played by Daniela Melchior, who was Ratcatcher 2 in the Suicide Squad.
Oh my God!
A lot of James Gunn's regulars are in Guardians 3.
Like Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, Nathan Fillion.
I loved his role in that.
His character was hilarious. I loved him, and then there was and his wife makes an appearance in a few scenes too.
James Gunn's wife. Yep.
Yeah, I forgot her name. Unfortunately, I hope I get it in my head. She's in Suicide Squad. She's in Peacemaker.
I especially love how first you've got Nathan Fillion's character ripping on one of his employees. Then Gamora comes in, and James Gunn's like, what's one of the most screwed up things I could have her say or do that's just completely mean? And she's like, we'll kill that one whose head looks like a carrot to show we mean business.
And then we show the carrot guy, it's hilarious.
Oh my laughing. God, it does look like a carrot. No, that is mean.
Poor carrot.
And they they show him again, and later on you're like, oh, that poor guy. Why did you have to say that?
Yeah.
It's nice though, because this Gamora, her arc is kind of growing to care enough for them again, while still being like, I'm still me. I'm choosing my own path, but she starts to understand. Okay, now I kind of see how I ended up with these people to begin with.
Now that we've talked about Gamora a lot, let's talk about Nebula, because
that's where I was going with that. It felt like Nebula's ending was kind of one for both her and Gamora, because at the end of Guardians 2, they were saying to her, you could be helping a lot of other little girls to make sure they don't go through what you went through, and that's where her character ends up at the end of this.
She did. She, Mantis, and Drax saved the kids.
Well, not only that, her providing a new home on Nowhere, which they bought apparently to help make it a refugee for people who are affected by the blip and Thanos' general rampages.
Yeah. But what I liked about it was that, what I like about Nebula in all the Guardians movies and the Avengers is she had, they gave her the Prince Zuko treatment. Where she starts off as evil, or I don't want to say evil, but bad, and turns to the light side and becomes good.
Yeah, even just like that little flick football with Tony, she's starting to experience fun a little, and she's like, oh, did I just won? Huh. I enjoyed that. Okay.
Yeah, and and in Guardians 3, she really expressed her feelings more to other people than she did in the previous movies. What scene
I especially loved with her expressing her feelings? When she hears Rocket on the intercom.
That's what I was going to talk
And
about.
suddenly, and a lot of people thought of like, oh yeah, she's becoming more human. I was reading that as, it's not just that. She spent 5 years. It was just her and Rocket for 5 years during the blip. They probably bonded a lot because of that.
They did. They definitely did. And because of that, their relationship was just strong compared to the other Guardians members.
Yeah, she was definitely one of those people who was kind of, when other people were having she was kind of that glue that was kind of holding them together when they needed help.
Yeah, you're right.
But I'm trying to think. So yeah, it definitely felt like they gave her that ending that Gamora wanted for her, which I especially appreciated. One thing I was shocked with, they never explored the psychological effect of her having to kill her own self that had on her. But I think that was more telling of her relationship with her sister.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Now, I'm curious, how did you feel about Groot's last line?
Oh, that scene got me. Like, there was I know he didn't directly say "I love you guys" in real time, but we, the audience, were meant to understand what he was saying.
That's what James Gunn said. He said, you guys have been with him so long, I want you to be able to understand what he's actually saying.
Yeah, and it worked.
Now, did you ever get a chance to see Guardians, the Christmas special?
No, I did not, but I did see some clips with where Drax and Mantis try to kidnap Kevin Bacon.
I gotta see. There are so many people that
there was in the credits, like there was a photo of Kevin Bacon. It's like, Kevin Bacon, where was he in? Oh, the holiday special. That's right. And then the post credits scene, you have Grandpa reading a newspaper that says alien abduction. Kevin Bacon tells all. I'm like, it's in the holiday special, wasn't it?
There are some jokes in that holiday special that kind of tie back to some earlier projects with so much like twisted like implications to them that you definitely got to see. But what I loved about that movie, and this one especially, they really improved on Mantis.
Oh, absolutely.
Because she was kind of like, well, some people wouldn't take her seriously. When you have that whole A-Force scene from Endgame, they're like, okay, what's Mantis going to do that the others aren't already doing? And I'm thinking to myself, she was able to take Thanos and control him. But in these two movies, you see she can really hold her own action-wise.
Yeah. And what another thing I like that they brought up was that Mantis is somewhat Peter's sister, which is true. I kind of got the gist of that when I saw Volume 2.
Yeah, that definitely, I think, played stronger in the Christmas special than it did in this movie. But you could still see that sister act where she's like, he won't listen to me. I need you to do this so that he can kind of start to, like, she's kind of like Nebula, kind of picking up Peter's mess a little.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Now, I'm curious. What did you think of... Okay, so when Rocket, during the flashbacks, by the way, we should let people know, the animal cruelty in this is not as bad as they might think it is.
No, but, it still tugs your heartstrings.
It tugs your heart, but it's not like something where you're like, oh, I need to turn away from this.
Yeah, there's nothing.
My own mom is
There's nothing violent,
this.
R-rated. There's nothing really heavy R-rated stuff in here, but there are dark moments that make you ask, is this PG-13?
Well, we got our first F-bomb!
I know, right? Open the fucking door.
Like, Feige apparently was actually talking with Gunn and asking him, do you really want to be the first director to drop an F-bomb in an MCU movie? I'm thinking to myself,
and he was like, yes.
you're like, you're asking James Gunn that. Of course he does.
Right? Like James Gunn is like a punk rock movie director.
I mean, if you see the Suicide Squad, you're like, of course he wants to get as he was like, what's the most I can get away with without making this rated R? And he went there.
And he did. And yeah, and also decapitated heads, like the decapitated pig head. When that popped, I was like, oh, okay, wait, this is PG-13? Are you sure?
But especially so when Lila dies.
Oh God, yeah.
And Rocket pounces on the evolutionary. You're like,
oh God.
Oh, what's he doing to his face?
And then when we see it,
he basically looks like Red Skull mixed with Gus at the end of his time on Breaking Bad.
Oh, he does look like Gus Fring. I was like, they got away with this?
You know what I loved about that too? So I'll get into all the character stuff with the others and their responses to him, but with Gamora in particular, she's the one who deals the blow, and she doesn't even need to say anything. She just gives him that look of like seeing how pathetic he is, but it's also telling of how much she's grown to care for these characters. Like any other time, she wouldn't give a crap, but suddenly she's like, I am making you suffer, and it's just like, let's see what's behind that pathetic face of yours. Without even saying anything, she just communicates it with that look.
I know, I loved it. And then you see you see Mantis and the other characters like gasping when they see it, like, and like, oh, how ugly does he look? And then they show it, like, oh my God.
It's like, oh, Rocket, you did that to him? Well done.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hey, he got what he deserved.
I mean, he is so very shouty, and when you saw like how he responded to Rocket when Rocket figured out a problem that he couldn't.
Yeah.
Rocket's doing what he's supposed to be doing, but the evolutionary's ego's like, you can solve something that I can't.
I know.
I'm gonna burn you for that.
The dude had a complete mental breakdown when he found out.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I'm just going to keep your brain now. You're nothing. You don't get to be part of this world because I can't have someone who's smarter than me. But at the same time, you're like, if your plan is to take his brain and apply that to everyone else that you create, wouldn't everyone else just be smarter than you?
Right.
Like, there is no winning with his vision. He hates everything. He wants everything to be perfect, but he also doesn't want everything to be better than him, and that just clashes wildly.
I know. He's a complete narcissist. He's a narcissistic sociopath.
He's his own worst foil.
Pretty much.
And that final fight, first between the Guardians just all working together to take out the remainder of his goons, is so good. But then when you just see them all go to town on him, it's not just telling of, like, you want to see this guy get what's coming. It's like, this is how much they love each other. They are going, like, full force 1,000% on him.
Exactly. And, even in the middle of the movie when the Guardians were watching that project file of Baby Rocket getting tortured and experimented on, that's what gave Peter Quill the motivation to kill the High Evolutionary and everyone else involved. And I was like, damn.
Which world did you enjoy exploring more? That weird goop world that Nathan Fillion was in, or the secondary Earth? Which one did you enjoy more?
I gotta say Counter Earth. There was something about Counter Earth that just felt so unique. And what I loved about that scene is that all the animals, the animal people, were practical effects. There was barely any CGI was involved in the making of those creatures. Like, they were all guys in makeup.
It's just costumes and yeah.
I love that this movie had a lot of prosthetics, practical effects, for that movie that to go along with the CGI, because a lot of the Marvel movies we're watching nowadays are just CGI slugfests, whereas with Guardians 3, they balanced it out with computer-generated imagery and practical effects, just like the good old days in the 90s.
Now, what were some of your favorite music tracks from this?
Okay, number 1, Dog Days Are Over by Florence and the Machine. And number 2, Creep by Radiohead, the acoustic version.
They're very perfectly counter to each other, because the first kind of expresses how they are at the beginning of the movie, and then this is the au revoir. They're in a better places now. Like, they can actually be happy. They don't hate themselves.
Exactly. It was such an emotionally uplifting ending. After so many sad, depressing scenes with Rocky Raccoon, we get something that's completely heartwarming in the end. And James Gunn did a brilliant job balancing out comedy and drama together.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm just checking the battery percentage. Okay. Now, one of the things I brought up earlier was kind of like the Nebula's emotional response to Rocket, hearing his voice.
Yes.
Then there's also Rocket's response when he hears the evolutionary on that intercom. And you can see that PTSD snap into him.
Oh, God. Yeah, when I saw that really got me.
And it's not like he's down and on the ground cowering, but after everything he's relived, you can see that whole, he's breathing more heavily, and he's like...
he has a complete panic attack, and I was like, oh my God, this poor raccoon.
Now, how did you feel about about the whole 3-act structure between like the different places they had to go to? Do you think it balanced well?
Yeah, it balanced very well. Like I said, I think to me this is my favorite Marvel movie, both narratively and emotionally. It had a great 3-act structure, and there was you got invested in all the characters, even the ones that were immediately introduced to the movie, which is very hard to do, because again, that didn't work with the Eternals, but it worked here because of how important those characters were to the Guardians, especially Rocket Raccoon.
Yes.
And that's why it worked.
Now, I'm curious. First, did you prefer this over the Suicide Squad?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. This is James Gunn's best film. And, again, Marvel's best movie.
Now, I imagine of Rocket's 3 friends, you would probably put Lila on the top. How do you feel about Teefs and Lore?
I love them all. I don't have a preference for those animals.
Now, there's a part of me that felt there was one unanswered question with Rocket, and the one possible answer I could come up with kind of was like, you'd think that would have a darker effect on him. His obsession with body parts.
Yeah.
Like, I need that guy's leg. Bucky, can I have your arm?
Yeah, Bucky.
I need that guy's eye.
And, yeah, because they were all linked to his animal friends.
You would think that would add more trauma to it, like he wouldn't be obsessed with it in that way, though.
I think that's a good point, but I guess trauma affects people differently sometimes.
Maybe that's him trying to repress that
exactly,
pain out and
it's a
flip
coping
it.
mechanism.
Yes,
that's what it is.
That's what it is. It's a coping mechanism. Now, what did you think of once the action got started at the beginning of the film with the Warlock's attack?
Oh, the action scenes with Warlock?
Yeah.
I thought it was it told me one thing. James Gunn can definitely direct a Superman movie. Like the scene where Adam Warlock is like flying in space, and it's like at the center of the screen. I'm like, and it was like, oh, that was the moment where I'm like, yeah, James Gunn I can see him do a Superman movie. And by the third act of the movie, where Adam Warlock saves Peter Quill, I was like, oh yeah, he can definitely direct a Superman movie.
That kind of slowly reminds me of like Superman saving Lois, or one of those very kind of soft hero moments you feel like you would get in a Superman movie.
Oh yes, and the fact that and the way that Adam Warlock flies around, like, completely fast. I'm like, it keeps telling me that, James Gunn understands the superheroes. He knows he can make a Superman movie. So after seeing that in theaters, especially with how he made this movie, I have complete trust in him handling the Superman legacy and the rest of the DC universe.
I mean, I'm excited to see him handle the DC. I will say, I still wish they would have allowed at least Snyder to finish his stories. Maybe get us one more Superman movie and a Justice League to close it all out, and then be like, all right, now it's done.
I agree. I am sad about the Snyderverse ending, but knowing James Gunn, DC is in good hands with him.
Yeah, the original DCU, I don't think they ever had a proper plan. It was always kind of catch up with Marvel.
Yeah,
because
that was the problem. They tried the studio tried to rush everything to catch up with Marvel, and in some cases it worked, in others it did not. And we need a clean slate to offer a fresh start for the DC cinematic universe.
Yeah, they need an actual plan, like a beginning to end plan that they stick with.
Yeah, so like I said before, DC is in good hands with James Gunn, Peter Safran, and Matt Reeves with his Batman universe.
I'm very excited for that. And Todd Phillips with his Joker.
Absolutely. So, yeah, so even though Snyder sadly left, we still have a crew of talented directors telling their visions of DC characters.
Now, of the 3 remaining DC projects we have left from this current phase, how would you rank your excitement of them with Blue Beetle, Aquaman, and Flash?
Okay, Flash is my most anticipated, despite all the controversy surrounding Ezra Miller and their horrible actions off screen. Like, I'm still excited to see this movie solely for Michael Keaton's return as Batman. Yeah,
it's like you can go into that movie and acknowledge, I am here. I might be watching a Flash movie, but I do not support Ezra Miller. I am just here to see Batman and an actually good multiverse story.
Exactly, just a fun multiverse story with Michael Keaton's Batman. And let's see, my second most anticipated is Blue Beetle. Like, granted, it's not like the one I'm excited. It's not the one I'm excited about the most. It's not even my most excited comic book movie, period. But it's something I'll probably see, and either in theaters or on streaming. But with Aquaman 2, I just don't have the desire to see it. I didn't really like the first Aquaman movie, and mixed with my so with Aquaman 2 coming out, like,
there were people who saw a test screening of it, and there were very mixed responses on that.
Exactly. So all the mixed reviews, and also, again, Amber Heard. I hate to sound hypocritical, but Amber Heard, with her all the horrible things she did, like, it just made me less excited.
Yeah, and I think if Aquaman's the last movie, it's also the one where you're like, well, it's the last one, but we also know nothing going on in this matters.
Exactly. It really doesn't matter at this point.
And I think, well, besides a few other things, that was one of the things that also hurt Shazam.
Yeah, it was. That one got mixed. I know you enjoyed it, but
I enjoyed it enough where I was like, it's a good enough B movie at best, but it's also one of those ones where there's no real risk, and if you're fatigued with the generic superhero story, you're like, I can see where some are going to have a problem with this.
Exactly. And that's where Guardians of the Galaxy 3 sticks the landing, is that it wasn't a generic superhero movie.
Oh yeah, no, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. So yeah, at the end of the day, like, I'm looking forward to see what James Gunn has in store next.
Now, do you think so? We know that Dave Bautista is not returning. We know Zoe Saldana said she's not going to play Gamora anymore, but she'd be fine with someone else playing Gamora. And yeah, I don't know how I feel about that either. Now, if I'm correct as well, both the actresses who play Nebula and Mantis, did they both say they're not returning?
I'm not so sure. I haven't really checked, but with Zoe Saldana as Gamora, like, I just don't see anyone else playing that role besides her. It's kind of like Jonathan Majors with Kang. Like he did such a great job playing Kang in the Loki show. Again, I have yet to see Quantumania to get a full judgment on that.
He is the best part of Quantumania, I will say. He's easily the best part of that movie.
But yeah, and he's a very charismatic actor too. But sadly, with the legal troubles he's facing, and with all those allegations, like, I would not recast anyone else to play Kang. I would just hold him off until we get a verdict. Yeah,
and if I were to hit the one handling Marvel and this had started up and I find out, oh, it's true, what I'd be having him do is, okay, first, you issue an apology. Second, you check yourself in for anger management classes and a lot of other therapy. 3, if he has to continue in Marvel, he agrees to take a giant pay cut.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. There's something about that's a lot of that is very, in this day and age, all that stuff is very complicated because we look at things with a very black and white perspective, and the way that they hold actors accountable have been a little bit all over the place. Because with Jonathan Majors, he's already going on trial, but with Ezra Miller, after the horrible things they did, like it's like they get like a slap on the wrist, and I just don't understand. Maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe there's something that I don't know about, and it needs to be clarified.
Well, but I expect that if James Gunn hadn't rebooted the DCU, even then, I don't think they would have any intention of working with Ezra Miller after his Flash movie came out.
Well, yeah, well, we'll see. It's just the justice system has been all over the place.
Now,
but not for the depressing stuff. Let's get back to the movies.
Where do you see Rocket and Groot's story going if they ever come back?
I don't think they are going to come back. I think this is the perfect ending for them.
I wasn't sure if they had. So, we know at least Star-Lord's coming back. That's 1,000,000% confirmed.
Yes, exactly. But that's all they said. Star-Lord will return. They didn't say anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy returning.
They said the official group that we had was over, but they said there was always room for more different type of Guardian stories.
You're probably right.
But then there is the issue of how does anyone else handle that kind of story. I don't think they would do a new Guardians movie. Maybe we'd have some of them return in some other projects, but if James Gunn's not handling it, I don't think you can do another Guardians.
Yeah, with the DCU he's planning out, I think he just doesn't have any more time to do Marvel movies nowadays.
Yeah. Now, how did you feel about during that elevator sequence? Did you laugh at all when Star-Lord said, "I lost my temper, nearly destroyed half the universe"?
Yeah, Yeah, I'm glad they addressed that joke.
I was in the theater and I said out loud, nearly?
Yeah, he was kind of
He,
responsible. But again,
he
I think with James Gunn, I think he has a better understanding of Star-Lord than the Russo brothers. What I liked about here was that in Guardians 3 is that Star-Lord was less arrogant, more intelligent.
yeah,
Than,
he was handled very awkwardly in Infinity War and Endgame, where he was very insecure.
exactly, he was less insecure. Even though, even though in the beginning of the movie we see him like struggling with alcohol abuse. Then, but with but we see him handle things maturely, and he makes smart decisions, especially when they go to the High Evolutionaries headquarters. When I thought that was brilliant, what he did.
It was a fun, he's listening to the guy's story, like, don't care, you're just impotent, I don't need another story. And then he's just ready to waste them. And his exit plan's not
Yeah, it worked.
so bad.
Exactly. It's like he pulled it off. So yeah, I guess it's all based on matter of writing. I just think that James Gunn understands these characters better than anyone else does.
I don't even think now. I know he assisted with Endgame, maybe with Infinity War, but I don't think Taika brought him in at all for the Guardians brief scene at the beginning of Thor.
Oh, I don't think he did. No.
It just felt like you just had the actors playing those people, but you didn't get the character out of them.
Right. Excuse me for 1 second.
Yeah.
It's getting dark in here. There we go. All right. Yeah, that's a little bit better.
Yeah. Now, did you have any jump scares where you thought they were actually going to kill one of the Guardians off?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was right where. So, okay, for anyone who's just joining right now, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, yeah, there's the scene where Rocket rescues the raccoons. I thought it was going to repeat the same scene with Lila, and I was like, no, oh God, please don't, please don't, please don't. And I'm glad it wasn't the case.
Yeah, James Gunn, he fooled us. He said, when he originally made that announcement, he said, someone dies in this movie. My instant thought was, he didn't say one of the Guardians dies in this movie.
No, but someone close to one of the Guardians.
Yeah. And I even remember at the beginning when they're doing that siege at that one place and Drax gets blasted, there was that part of me going, oh, is this it? But then there should have been that point in my mind like, no, there's more scenes with him in the trailer that we haven't seen yet.
Right.
I was very nervous, though, when I thought they were actually going to kill off Peter, and I thought, please tell me he didn't die trying to get that Zune.
Oh God, yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen because he was like when he jumped into space, his face was like puffing up. I'm like, oh God, please don't.
Especially, like, I know that they can argue, oh, he was in a rush, so he forgot his mask. But if he had actually died because he forgot his mask, that was something that the MCU was never going to hear the end of.
In the end of the day, Star-Lord got really lucky.
He wanted to make a cool entrance.
And it was like, did that look cool?
It did. How did you like Kraglin and Cosmo's little story?
I liked it. It was cute.
I will say, I was shocked that at this point Kraglin still didn't have a handle of the arrow, because even though you don't see him, that panning shot where Cap first says Avengers Assemble,
Yeah.
if they had extended that by 1 extra second, you would see him in that lineup. And I'm thinking to myself, if he was there, how did he fight if he didn't have a handle of the arrow? Because Guardians 2 takes place in like 2014, 2015, and it's been like probably over 10 years since then, so you would think to yourself, he still doesn't have a handle of this.
No, no, it's yeah.
I thought the story they were going to go with him was his need to redeem himself and protect everyone because he incited that he didn't mean to, but he incited the mutiny that led to a lot of his crew members' deaths and Guardians too. I almost thought that was the route they were going to go with him.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening. Like I see that how that would happen. I should say.
I was even shocked. So remember how at the end of Guardians 1, Yondu calls Peter's father a jackass, and then when he comes to save Peter, he even says the line again, "Hey there, jackass." when Kraglin came in to help them against the High Evolutionary, and he's like, "Hey there, you freak of nature," or whatever, I was like to myself, I feel like jackass would have been better.
It didn't bother me.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where I noticed it. I mean, it's still nice they at least gave him something of a story. And with Cosmo, it's like, oh, she wants to be called a good dog, and then she's called a good dog.
Yeah, that was cute.
I will say though, when she just took those two walls and flattened that guy, I was like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah, there's no saving.
No. That is flat as a pancake. That guy is dead.
Yep, squished like a bug.
He was flat. He was more flat than a pancake at that point.
No kidding.
I have to ask, when you saw it in theaters, did your theater cheer at all when we got the little Yondu moment?
I went to an late morning matinee, so there was barely any people in the theater. So, but yeah, that was a great moment seeing Yondu again.
I loved that myself. I went to the Thursday and Friday night showings, which were both packed, and I was shocked that no one in the theater actually cheered when he appeared.
I was like, okay, that's odd because that was the one character I didn't expect to show up again, even if it was just for a brief moment.
Yeah, there's even a moment, I won't get too spoilery, but there's a moment in Black Panther 2. It's a very tense movie, which, by the way, they also use humor just the right amount. It's not oversaturated. In that movie, you get it just at the right places. It doesn't take away from anything. You get your chuckles, but they're going for a very serious tone. So there's a moment where you see someone, and it didn't get a yeah, but it got an audible reaction. There's a certain character that appears where you're like, oh, like you could hear the audience's responses. I at least expected something like that with Yondu because I get that this was still a very seriously toned movie. I was just shocked because I'm like, Yondu's one of the best characters in that whole trilogy.
Oh, absolutely. But again, I'm glad that one of James Gunn's regulars is back in the movie.
He definitely had one of the best redemptive stories, I think, of any character.
He did. Yondu was a great character. You know,
they definitely, I think, hinted at his death right at the beginning when they're talking about, you won't get this type of funeral. I didn't pick up on that, but then someone pointed that out later on, and I'm like, that would kind of give it away, wouldn't it?
Right.
Well, that plus the text. I don't know if you've noticed, but each of the Guardians movies prior, the text for the title would match the color of whoever died in that movie. Like the first one was Groot color. Second one was Yondu color. So when I saw the color for this one, I was like, is it Drax color or is it Rocket color? And then when I watched the movie, I was like, oh, that's Lila color.
Yeah.
That's Lila's color. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, How did you feel? Did you ever feel like they had to kind of make them do purposely stupid things to kind of get the plot going in certain directions?
I didn't. I don't think so. I mean, I've seen this twice now, and I didn't find any any stupid decision made by a character.
Well, like first
Daring.
off,
There were some daring decisions, that's for sure.
yeah, like with
And one could
Gamora,
argue that Quill forgetting his mask is kind of stupid, but I would, I would, I wouldn't call, I wouldn't think it was anything major.
like I noticed with like Gamora when she was trying to call her people to get a ride, and she's calling the one guy who Warlock just fried, and his mother answers the phone. I'm thinking to myself, how do you not recognize that that's not one of your own people's voices?
I mean, the Ravagers is a large group of people.
Yeah, but you would think she would be like, no one on that team has like a fancy golden ass accent.
Yeah, very British.
Yeah, and then with Drax, he's told to stay behind, and then he takes the motorcycle, and Mantis is like, "Oh, we're just riding back to the ship." He's like, "Yeah." They ride down there, and I'm thinking to myself, couldn't she have just controlled him to go back to the ship?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that is. I felt well. Yeah, you're right about that.
Because if they had stayed with the ship, that would have changed things. But it does kind of, it's not a one of those things of, oh, we need this to happen just so we can keep the story going. It's, they made bad decisions, but it kind of worked for the better because then they know that there's all those children on the ship they need to save.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm like, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, you bring up some very good points about that there. Like, but again, I wouldn't think of it as anything major. I wouldn't even consider it a flaw in the movie. Like there was like
Yeah, they're just
because Drax. We all know Drax and Mantis are kind of like airheads of the groups. So of course they'll make some pretty dumb choices.
all right. What would you say was your favorite moment or line from each of the characters in that movie, from each of the Guardians?
Okay. Well, so with Rocket, I'll say the name's Rocket. Rocket Raccoon. With Quill, it's open the fucking door.
Yeah.
With Gamora, it's I bet we were fun, because that really pulls heartstrings. And let's see. With Nebula, it's when she says, that's worse than what Thanos did to me, because that really indicates how awful like Rocket's backstory was.
Yeah.
And let's see with Drax, it was him making monkey noises. That was fucking hilarious. And let's see.
Or whatever those noises were.
Yeah, those were definitely not monkey noises. And then Groot, Groot, it's I love you guys, because we finally get to understand him. But the one line that hits me the most is from Lila when in the afterlife scene she says, "They are the hands that made us, and they are the hands that guide the hands." And that that just got me going when she said that.
Yeah. Kind of going back to thing we brought up earlier about family and how they were kind of band-aids for each other until they could find their true purpose. You know what the funny, twisted thing of it all is?
What is it?
That statement that the evolutionary makes of be not what you are, but what you were meant to be. He doesn't get his way in one sense, but at the end of the day, if he was more virtuous, this was the way the Guardians end up at the end is kind of almost like his goal if it was so dark and malicious.
Exactly. Like, yeah, this is like the High Evolutionary's motivations are just pure evil.
Hmm.
There are three types of evil depicted in these big Marvel villains. With Loki and Killmonger, I call them the lesser evils. With Thanos, with Thanos and Kang, I consider them the necessary evil. And with the High Evolutionary, he is the pure evil.
Right, where there's no justification whatsoever. It's just like, no, you're just awful.
Exactly.
Okay, now I'm curious, what other projects would what did this movie make you think most back to with any of the other Guardians movies in terms of like the new context it gives? Like what moment from any of those prior projects really springs to mind?
Well, I think it's something that you just mentioned earlier when we were talking about Rocket and how in the first movie he just openly ranted about how he was born a monster and how he just kept getting torn apart. So at the end, and then in Volume 2, we have like Yondu arguing with Rocket, saying that you act tough, but you're just scared. And then in Volume 3, we see all of that through flashbacks.
Yeah, it even kind of brings more to life with Infinity War and Endgame when you're like, oh, Rocket lost his whole family again. So when he's trying to get Thor's head straight and he's just like, sit here, right here, just like slaps him. I'm like, oh, that's not just to clear Thor's head. That's him getting pissed because of his deepest trauma. He's like, yes. I'm not playing around here.
And he wasn't.
Even like I don't know if you remember when Thanos launched his ship to like blast the hell out of that whole army, and you see Rocket throw his body over Groot to protect him. Yes. He's like, I'm not losing you again.
Yes.
Losing anyone again.
Yes. Yeah, it shows like, all the people he lost really put a toll on him.
Or even like when he stops Gamora from trying to go to save Yondu and Quill.
Yes.
Because he's thinking to himself, okay, I know I'm about to lose one friend. I might lose two. I'm not losing three. Like Tief's, Floor, and Lila. He even says, I can only afford to lose one friend today.
Yes.
Yeah, this just goes to show what happens when someone has a clear plan and executes it from beginning to end. You really get the full perspective of every single line, every single action, every little bit of these characters now makes full and complete sense.
It does. It really does. Like there's like you're absolutely right about that because we get, like you said earlier, all the character arcs just come full circle here in Volume 3, and that's kind of the reason why I think it's best for the Guardians movies to end at 3. Even though we are going to see Star-Lord again, I wouldn't mind I wouldn't mind Star-Lord joining the Avengers next. But as for the Guardians of the Galaxy, I think we finally finished everything for most of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta ask, what MCU show are you most looking for next? Secret Wars, excuse me, not Secret War, Secret Invasion, or Loki Season 2?
I'll have to go with Loki Season 2, mainly because I'm familiar with it.
I will say
there's something about most of the TV shows and movies in phases 4 and 5 that don't get me riled up as the first 3 phases. And my problem is, like, Marvel just keeps pumping out so many projects that there's not enough time to work to craft them perfectly, or should I say make a near perfect movie or TV show, because it's quality always comes first over quantity. And I think that Kevin Feige and everyone at Marvel were just tried a little too hard, and maybe they should press the brakes a bit.
That's why I'm a little shocked that when he announced the new Daredevil show, he didn't just bring on the original showrunners, directors, and writers. Because I thought to myself, wouldn't that make it so much easier for you? Like, he wouldn't even need to worry about that. He could just be like, I just need you to get from A to B, tell whatever you want in between. Can you do that? All right, then go do it. I trust you.
Excuse me for 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I need an office.
I'm curious, have you seen Andor?
Andor, that's another thing. I just don't care about Star Wars TV shows either. I just think that, they're just soulless products that were pumped out by Disney. And the thing I love about the Star Wars, even the prequel trilogies, was when I got to see them, they felt like big events. And that's what they should be treated as, like an eventful property, not like something that you pump out every month, every week, every year. Like Star Wars should be something special.
Did you enjoy Rogue One, though? Did you see Rogue One?
Yes, I actually enjoyed that one. I think that's the prequels. With episodes, I'll say this: The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, I don't hate them as much as everyone else does. In fact, I actually quite like them. Rian Johnson is not a terrible director. He has made some very big hits, like the Knives Out movies and Brick, and what was that movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis? It's at the top of my head, but I can't take it out.
I might know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I remember that one getting good reviews. I remember people talking about it, but for some reason I just forgot the name.
Yeah, the reason I was bringing up Rogue One, kind of going back to Andor, that is one of those much more mature shows where the director, he had control. This was not a committee project. This was a very intricate, very much more mature-based Star Wars story. And I'm bringing Andor up because I thought to myself, I feel like Secret Invasion is going to be the Andor of the MCU. It's going to be a much more mature, spy-based kind of thriller, kind of like The Winter Soldier was.
Yeah, very much like that.
Yeah,
all right.
That's what I've heard, at least.
So, your final thoughts on this movie. I know you loved it. How would you describe it to people looking to see it?
I'll describe it as this: if you're an animal lover, and I'll just tell you this: bring tissues. Or if you're not a fan of pets or animals, you'll still be sad over this. This is the saddest and darkest Marvel movie to come out, and it's also my favorite.
Yeah, it's easily in my top 10. And I will say, if you loved the way that Endgame closed that chapter of the MCU and you're a big Guardians fan, then this is 1,000,000,000% the movie for you, because there were even some people that were worried, like those who weren't as big a fan of Guardians 2, James Gunn really doesn't take any missteps with this. And if you were looking for a reason to enjoy Guardians 2 more, this movie does that for you.
It does. Honestly, this is what I loved about this movie is that it's a James Gunn film first and a Marvel movie second.
Yes. Yes.
Like even the posters, like on the top, like above the title, they'll say Marvel Studios presents, and then above the title is a James Gunn film,
Mm.
and it says Guardians of
A
the
Ken
Galaxy Volume
Feige
3.
production. This is a James Gunn film.
Exactly, because usually Marvel movies like would just skip that and they'll say Marvel Studios, and then they'll give you the title.
Now, who would you say was your favorite side character from this?
My favorite side character. Okay, so outside of the Guardians, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Howard the Duck.
I just remembered he was in that poker scene.
Yeah, he was. And there's also a cameo appearance from Lloyd Kaufman, who did the Trauma movies. If you're familiar with like with the Toxic Avenger or Kabuki Man, like he did those movies, and he makes a small appearance in the poker scene.
Yeah, there was that guy from what was that planet? Xandar, the guy who ran that like little auction house. He was there at the one who refused to buy the orb from Peter once he found out Ronan was involved.
Oh yes.
And I like that touch because it adds more to the whole equation of, oh yeah, Xandar got decimated
Yeah,
because
you're right.
of Thanos. Yeah, I don't know if you heard. So did you know who was actually voiced Lila? Oh, oh crap.